Go.
Wait, should we wait for the mouse soup?
Okay.
I'm sorry, this will take
That was
like a
awkward
second.
timing.
I'll be right back.
This has been a super podcast.
Wait, can you talk and eat soup at the same time?
We can have the soup as a co-host.
And join us, Lamar, and the soup.
How does it feel like to be a superstar?
Save these jokes for when we do the podcast. I'm sure everyone will love them.
Will they? Or will they boo us?
It'd be super duper.
Oh, it's okay to yawn. You're not doing it yet.
Looking at what?
I said it's okay to yawn right now because we're not doing
Oh. Has anything happened on the forums? Oh yeah, Jordan made a new video. I wonder what it's about. Some games at art.
Oh yeah, they're making a Witcher 3.
A what? Retro?
Witcher.
Oh, Witcher. I saw that at E3. No, I haven't played any games, so I'm not that interested. That's the thing with sequels, because if you haven't played the other two games, then what makes you think I'm going to buy the third one on its own? That's why I like new IPs, because then you can just get into them without worrying about having to play the other games.
Okay, I'm sorry about that, but I now have soup, and if in the middle of the podcast I spill soup everywhere and you hear me shout, "Oh fuck," you know. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, basically just ready whenever everyone else is.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Video games.
Video. Wait, who's doing the? Am I doing?
Yeah, you are. Okay, let's do that again.
Yeah, you are.
3, 2, 1, go.
Video games.
Quiet, you. Hello and welcome to the revival of the podcast. Joining me.
Yes.
It's been a long time coming.
We're off to a good start, aren't we?
Oh bollocks! I can't do this. I don't know what to say.
I'm Daily Destin.
Do you want one of us to try, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
All
Lamar,
right.
you do it. You have a handsome voice.
Thanks, babe.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Soup.
Hello, this is Lamar the Frog. I'm technically not supposed to be hosting, but this is the revival of the podcast. Joining me today here is Craigie McBoy
Hello.
and Esson McEsson.
This is hard news.
This is Side Scrollers.
People wish they would listen to Side Scrolls, I bet.
Yeah, right now they're just like, okay, I'm turning this off. This is horrible.
Alright, we're done. These guys, fucking whatever.
Just because they've got the Craig, they think they can be Side Scrollers.
Anyway, so we were going to talk about the games we played, our games of the year and stuff like that of 2013.
Yeah, normally we do the recently played games, but because it's the new year, we're going to talk about 2013 games that we liked.
And reminisce about how old we are. It's going to be wonderful.
Back with my day, the video games were harder.
And you had to buy them from stores.
Yeah.
Back in my day, I had to wear a fedora and play video games at the same time.
You state trooper.
Okay, who are we going to start with?
I'll go.
Okay,
Alright,
Okay.
I'll take the hit.
take the helm.
Alright, I made a top 7 games list a while ago, so I'm gonna be needlessly copying from that and just saying my top 3 from there. And
I don't think I even played 7 games this year.
my number 3 game for this year was JoJo's Bizarre Adventure All-Star Battle, which I got to play before everyone else, and say how great it is.
Asshole.
Yeah. And so I was kind of nervous going inside the game because it was supposedly like copying like the format from the Naruto games, and I never played the Naruto games, but I assume since the anime's terrible, the games are probably going to be terrible as well. So
Actually, people pretty much universally agree that the Naruto games do a great job with it.
yeah.
Where it's like even people who don't like the show love the hell out of the games.
That's what I realized, and then I started playing All Star Battle. I'm like, holy crap, this is actually really good. I had a lot of fun with the game itself. Like, it was a really weird kind of game where it's a 3D fighter, but you have free motions to go wherever you want, and
Hmm.
it still controls like a fighting game. Like, you do your Shoto moves and stuff, but each character kind of has its own trait that they can kind of like have some kind of goal to unleash like the ultimate attack, like where I think it was yeah, Pucci does like unleashing the baby or whatever as his ultimate attack or whatever, and I thought that was kind of cool. And the game does a lot of good work trying to kind of tie in the whole manga with the video game, and they make so many references that it's kind of crazy, like how almost every kind of movement or dialogue said probably has made some kind of appearance in the game. And
Yep.
yeah,
It's also really nice that they got the art style down like exactly, and at the same time, it's just like, you got to consider there are like over 20 years of manga that go into this.
and the thing is, the art style changes dramatically between each part, but they somehow found like a part that, like a manga art style that universally matches all the characters, which is absolutely crazy. To like have like characters from like part one coincide with characters from like part three or four, and then that coincides with characters from like part seven and eight. And it's pretty crazy. And I really, really love the references they kind of make, or like how they have like how some characters would say something to someone even though they've never met. Like how Dio tells like Josuke how his hair looks like crap. It's pretty great. But
Yep.
overall, I think the game is absolutely fantastic. And if you have like any sort of interest in the manga, it's a very good starting point to just maybe like get a feel of it. And for like fans of the manga who own a PlayStation 3, I can't recommend the game enough. And
Also it's coming out in America in whenever,
yeah,
but they said it is.
and the
So
game
it'll
is
be okay.
a whole lot of fun. And you can play as Dio Brando and throw steamrollers on people just like you've always dreamed.
Yeah.
I have always dreamed.
So going to number two game, which everyone else can talk about more because I'm not the only one who played it, was well, it's kind of a tie, but I'll go with Metal Gear Rising. And
Yeah.
I've been looking forward to that game for a very long time, ever since I saw the trailer. And it may be one of the few games that I was excited beyond belief for, and I wasn't horribly disappointed with. I actually exceeded my expectations. Like, the story sucked, but I'm fine with that.
No, the story was funny.
Yeah, but it does a pretty bad job trying to like tie in the Metal Gear, but it's not what it was trying to do. But the game itself was really, really good. And I think one of the smartest things that Platinum did was just embrace the whole idea of having super fast combat and just throwing away the idea of stealth. They have the option of doing stealth in like the missions. You can do it, but really the way the game's meant to be played is just to run out in the middle and just start cutting everything to bits. And doing that, it does a very, very awesome job at being super, super fun. And honestly, there were so many moments where I just thought, holy crap, this is incredible. Like, fighting a Metal Gear in the first level of the game. Like, who does that for a tutorial? You're fighting, like, something that's, like, 50 times your height. And then,
Yeah,
like,
I mentioned that in my review about it. When the frozen Metal Gear right at the beginning of the game, it gives you the idea what's going to come next.
yeah.
Yep. I remember a lot of people a lot of people cite God of War for doing that really early on, where it's like you fight the Hydra really on early on. It's like a nice way of getting people into it fast.
Yeah, it has your
Yeah.
attention instead of boring you. And you're actually learning the fundamentals of the game while you're playing it. But,
Yeah, it's probably one of the best tutorials of the year.
oh,
Yep.
easily.
Yep.
And like it has like you know how Uncharted 2 kind of had introduced like the whole over the top moment stuff like in their games. Metal Gear Rising does that probably to like the 100th degree.
All the time.
Yeah. Like you absolutely like every single level there's just this moment where you're just like, "Oh my god, this is incredible." Like in the first level, the Metal Gear throws you into a building and you're running down the building while it's blowing up and everything's just flying past you, and it almost puts you in like an almost amazed kind of state, and I can't say that I've had this much fun in a very long time. It's quite amazing. Craig, you had
Mhm.
something to say about this game? What'd you think about Metal Gear Rising, starring Jason Statham, Jet Li, and Bruce Willis in Revengeance?
It's just a really, really, really good action game
Yeah,
and a hack and slasher. I mean, there's not much else you can really say about it.
if you like Bayonetta and stuff, you'll probably like this game.
It's Platinum Games just know how to make really fun games, not necessarily good in terms of story or narrative, but fun, just general fun.
Yeah, it embraces what it wants to do, and it absolutely goes out of its way to make the game absolutely insane. It kind of almost reminds me of God Hand in some kind of aspects where like you're like put into the corner and you're just like, what am I gonna do? Oh, okay, I'm just gonna jump out the window and like start hopscotching on top of enemies. Okay, I'll go by your logic, game. It's pretty great.
Yep.
Also,
And then you said you have one more.
oh, my final game is, besides Metal Gear Rising Shirtless Senator, is The Last of Us, which I actually finished 2 days ago. And
Which I was actually going to start last night and then forgot.
And I finished it months ago.
yeah, it took me a while to actually get it because I bought Persona 4, and yeah, it's pretty great. I really, 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 really like that game. I went in there kind of nervous because it was done by Naughty Dog, who did the Uncharted games, and I love the Uncharted games because the thing that kind of made me nervous was that I thought that they were going to try to maybe follow the formula of Uncharted, which surprisingly they barely even acknowledged that Uncharted was a thing in their game. Like the funniest thing is that the only reference to Uncharted you may find in like the entire game, like it's not in the controls, it's not in the gameplay, it's a board game you find later on called Uncharted the board game. And that's like the only similar thing I could find to Uncharted versus like the entire game, which I find absolutely joyous to myself because
Yeah, it's good. It's good that they have that kind of restraint and things like that because it's very studios fall into like this trap where, especially today with games where they'll do the same thing over and over and over again because it makes money, or it's like, I don't know, it gets them an image because it'd be easy for Naughty Dog to just make like Uncharted game that's sort of like Uncharted, game that's sort of like Uncharted, and the fact that they can actually like do something different.
yeah.
Well, the thing is, it
It's
was like
good.
it was a different group of people that did the Last of Us game, I think.
Oh, they did.
Because
Right, but it's like
it was the
but
same
just like-
studio, but it was like different people in it.
right, like, but even so, under the studio name, they can branch out and kind of like cover more ground, I guess.
Yeah.
Also with Last of Us, it's nice to see a game that like, while it does do the thing where it's like gameplay and cutscenes are completely separate from each other and things like that, like the story and the gameplay separate, it still has a very good story to speak of, and I especially like the ending to it, though I know a lot of people complained about it for the exact same reasons that I love it, so...
Yeah, I like the
Yeah.
ending a lot, and I remember like one of the forum users, Johnny, we were talking about the game, and we disagreed on the Bioshock Infinite ending because I hated it, and he liked it, and he was just telling me that how he was going to be pissed if I hated the ending of The Last of Us, and then like after I finished, I just go to him, I'm like, that ending was pretty amazing, and
Yeah, I don't want to really spoil the game, but it was a pretty good ending, I thought.
it's a really brutal game, and I really think that people should go into
I thought-
it. Oh, go ahead.
The only thing I'll say about the end is it really fitted the character.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, definitely.
they never do anything out of character. And the one thing that I really want to say is that if you haven't played the game and you have any interest, try to avoid any spoilers or kind of any idea of what the game is about to be, because the only thing I knew about The Last of Us going in it was that it had zombies, and that was the only thing I knew about it.
They
And
weren't technically zombies.
They were
but the game,
clickers.
I will tell you right now, is extremely brutal, and it's one of the few games I've actually played that if I kill someone, I kind of feel grossed out because they do a very good job in kind of unrestraining themselves in murders, but not to the point of disgusting you, but to the point of kind of feeling weird about killing people. And
It's like the complete opposite of Uncharted, because Uncharted, you're just killing people without thinking about it.
yeah, and
Yep.
the whole theme of Last of Us is just how everything just kind of plays such in a big role, but yet it's so insignificant to each character. And I very well recommend the game from both a narrative point and from a gameplay point of view. I very
Yep.
well recommend it. That's my game of the year. So,
Awesome.
who's next?
I'm just glad you didn't say Bioshock Infinite, otherwise we'd end up in a bloodbath again.
That was number 4, so you can thank The Last of Us.
You were lucky.
It's not in the top 3 though.
Yeah, well,
Everything's okay.
it's a good game.
Is it though? Is it?
Oh God, it's starting. See what you did to us, God.
we can talk about this later.
Okay, who's next?
Shall I go next?
Sure.
Yeah, you can go.
I mean, I was going to talk about Metal Gear Rising and Last of Us as well, but I suppose since I already talked about them, Look, one game I did really enjoy this year was GTA 5. I will talk about that.
I heard
I
you
mean,
can steal cars.
that is one aspect of the game.
You
Compared
can also
to
like, you can also
compared
like
to-
punch
compared
people.
to- yeah, and shoot people and do it all. Anyway, compared to the previous game,
Uh-huh.
GTA 5 is a huge improvement over that because people I knew about. People that played GTA 4 I knew didn't like it.
Uh-huh.
Like Bobo's always complained about it. He thought it was too serious. GTA 5 is like the polar opposite of that.
Well, what happens with GTA 4 is like you have the entire game is based around like wacky fun time crime shoot a grandma in the face and steal her car, where the entire story decides to be like
Yeah,
bad Scorsese ripoff.
the story doesn't fit with the gameplay. That was the problem
Yep,
with GTA 4. With GTA 5, the missions are more sort of geared on fun rather than narrative.
Yeah, sort of.
So, like,
I-
it's like instead of like trying to justify what you're doing, they just say, "Look, let's give you like some fun tools to play with."
Yep, I'm gonna be completely wrong on this, but I'm gonna say it anyway because I love doing this. I feel like it has more of a Coen Brothers take on that sort of thing than say Scorsese like 4 did.
Yeah.
Son, back me up because I don't know this.
Yeah. Totally Coen Brothers. Yeah. That's all I can say.
Awesome.
If you watch a Coen Brothers movie, you can get it. I kind
Awesome.
of did like from what I saw from GTA 5 that it kind of went back to just being knowing its wacky roots because again, like I'm fine with a game having a dark story or whatever, but like
It's more reminiscent of Vice City rather than the fourth game.
yeah, because like
Vice City is one of my favorite games of all time, so that's why I liked it.
I think that one of the things I liked about 5 from what I saw was that the fact that it doesn't try to be overly serious because the game itself isn't very overly serious because like with GTA 4, like it's fine to have a dark story about a person who worked in human trafficking and had a really dark past who's trying to redeem themselves. But then all of a sudden go running in the middle of the streets and running over 20 people while doing wheelies in front of a store. Eh. But I'm kind of glad that GTA 5 kind of acknowledges the silliness of itself.
It knows it's a video game,
Yeah.
Yep.
and I can appreciate that.
Yeah, I also heard the characters are pretty great in 5. So.
Yeah, they are. Especially Trevor, he's really wacky. He's probably my favorite.
I keep hearing that.
Hmm.
I think it's everyone's favorite. It's V's favorite.
We can't mention them. They'll hurt us. They know.
And I think that's about it because the other two games I already talked about, so there's no point talking about them again.
Okay, I actually did not play a ton of games this year, but I was mulling over the few that I did play, and my number one is probably going to be the Stanley Parable, and not just because I was a huge fan of the original mod. For those who don't know, with the Stanley Parable, it's basically it's a lot of small stories that have like a lot of branching paths and things like that. The average game, I cannot talk today. The average story or playthrough will take about 20 minutes or less and things like that, and it's about you, the player, as Stanley, and the conflict with the narrator in which direction the story is going to go, either by obeying or disobeying what has been set up.
Mhm.
And it's just like, this was originally a source mod. I can't breathe. This was originally a source mod that was made for Half-Life 2 and everything, with like pretty minimal assets and things like that. But they no, they didn't kickstart it. They put it on Steam Greenlight and got it made into a full game and everything. I think having like their own style. I think it's still made in the source, but it's like they have their own engine. No, not engine. I'm stupid. It's still made in source, but it has a more unique visual style now, which I think suits it a lot better. It feels a lot more polished and things like that.
Mhm.
And at the same time, it's really fun. Like because the different stories will range from being like funny to unsettling and things like that, but still funny, unsettling. It's almost got like a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy sort of tone to it with the narrator and everything. So yeah, that's probably going to be my game of the year.
Nice.
Other than that, I played BioShock Infinite and I hated that. Well, liked it at first and then slowly came to hate it.
Have
But
we
we're not gonna talk
got time for these complaints?
I think we do have time for these complaints. Do we want to?
Mm,
Oh,
That's why. Do we want to do this?
we already did that like a million times.
I know. That's why it's not fun. I think we can do other stuff.
Hey, give me a sec.
I have no idea what you're doing.
Me neither. Do we want to just have like a break in here with the music or something? Or
Sure.
all right. And well, the fact that I just said that means we now have to. Frank.
Video games. People ordered more for what? This is not a good time.
Video games.
I know.
Dear video games. Thanks.
So we're just going to end it there, or we're going to carry on? Because I suppose we could just go plug up. It's going to be a bit awkward if we just go back to you again and just talk about one game and then go straight to another break.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could like do a lead-in thing and just move it up. I don't know. It's like yeah, it was an unexpected thing and stuff like that. I think we can just do like a break or whatever
Yeah.
or something. Or have soup. Put this in the end. Put sounds of me eating soup at the end.
Do a 5-minute loop of it.
It's good. It's French onion. The cheese would probably do that. I'm okay with that. Can't explain everything. Panera Bread, please sponsor me.
Okay, sorry about that.
I'll eat your soup on Skype.
Hey, did you know that Resident Evil out games, people made a fan mod where you can actually play that game?
Probably.
Except there's Zoo.
So yeah.
Okay.
Or wait, we're getting back to yes mode. Or,
Sure. Do you count?
Done.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
okay, I'll start with it. Okay. 3, 2, 1. I'm probably gonna edit me talking right now to this, like pretend there wasn't a break or anything, but anyways, welcome back to the podcast thingy, and I was going to mention something about BioShock Infinite, and one of the most heartbreaking / funny moments of this year in terms of video games for me was the fact that Lamar kept messaging me about BioShock, and we would message each other back and forth about how we would just agree with each other over everything in BioShock. We're like, yeah, BioShock 1's great.
Bioshock Infinite's one of the few games I haven't played this year or last year, and now I'm not sure if I want to play it anymore after what the backlash from it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's still worth playing, but let me read you a list, my dear friend.
But BioShock O'Neill Infinite 2, or BioShock Infinite, whatever. BioShock 2, we both agreed was pointless. And until then, Lamar and I agreed with every single point, and he kept messaging me like, holy crap, everyone keeps gushing about BioShock Infinite, but I feel that you're gonna kind of see the point of view that I do, and I can't wait till you finish the game. And then we could talk about it.
Was I wrong?
And he kept messaging me. I'm like, yeah, alright. And then I finished the game, and then Lamar's like, so, do you agree with me? I was like, it's my favorite game of the year. And then Lamar's like, oh, he just...
Oh. I see.
Yeah, he just had like the most disappointing I was like, I feel bad, even though none of us did anything wrong.
You could have lied.
No, you were wrong. You had the wrong opinion. Get out of here. You're done.
I know, and I felt bad, but I found it hilarious.
At least both of us don't like the ending. But the problem is so much of the game is built around the ending. So it's...
The ending I will say this a million times, I loved the game up until the last 10 minutes. And that kind of doesn't...
minutes, half hour, whatever. The last part where you walk through the thing.
The last 10 hours.
The last moment where they meet Shaquille O'Neal and he said, I built Rapture. And you're like, oh. And
you're like, this doesn't work. This is just a marketing vehicle.
And then Shaquille O'Neal's like, don't worry guys, I built Rapture just so I can improve all my free throws. And he misses. And he's like, well...
And then he breaks Rapture open, and then it floods, and then you all die, and you're like, what the fuck is this game?
Yeah, it was a pretty bad ending. And if I liked the ending, I would have... Huh?
I can't believe they did that. I mean, like, Shaq, really?
Yeah, well, it was called BioShaquille O'Neal in the development. So
Well, when I picked up the box, it was called BioShock Intimate. So I mean, I don't know.
yeah, but
I don't know what to believe.
it's a great game, but I'd say it's worth playing
Is it,
once just to see how it is. I personally loved it, and if I liked the ending, I probably would have played it multiple times, but the ending really bummed me out, and that's to the point of every time I try playing it, I remember that the ending is a thing.
But Esson, the gunplay is so boring that you can just spam every single fight and win.
Yeah, if you want to be boring,
Maybe I
The
want to be
game
more.
gives you this.
if you want to be boring.
The game gives you all these things, and it's like, hey, you can.
Hey,
can make
if you
people
want
crows.
to be boring,
Hey, I lit people on fire and sent whatever are crows at them. It was funny.
Tell me how crows at people is boring. Except it somehow manages to be boring. I
It's
don't know,
fun.
I can't talk.
People scream and they're
Is
getting
it?
pecked to death.
That's not fun. That's brutal. That's terrible. Why would you do that,
It's
you
funny
monster?
because it's funny. Just like how
I don't know. I don't want.
Huh?
It's like I almost don't want to go into this because I said my exact things on Bioshock Infinite so many times that I have it like memorized.
and we can say this easily. Bioshock Infinite is only good
Love
if you're
video
Shaquille
game.
O'Neal. There.
But here's my review. Bioshock Infinite is a video game. 7 out of 10. Worst of the year.
Bioshock Infinite is the Yeezus of video games.
So it's a 5 out of 10.
oh no.
Alright, so Lamar, talk about your other game of the year.
My other game of the year?
Yeah.
There isn't one.
Oh no! Okay, time to go to the next segment.
Well, I could talk about other games I played this year.
Oh,
No, it
Or
has to be
Bioshock
game of the year.
we're going back to our
It
last
has to be
segment.
Okay then.
Game of the enjoyment of moderation.
Of moderation. I also played Rayman Origins and it was great. There we go.
I thought that was Legends.
Legends, Origins. I don't know. They're all the same. No, they're not. Yeah, Legends.
No, it's just Rayman.
Let me kick this PS3 game that doesn't belong to me. Yes, it's Legends and it was great. Okay.
Also, Dark Souls came out this year.
Dark Souls
Yeah,
did come out.
yes, it did.
Dark Souls came out every year.
I know. It was,
I remember when I was in 8th grade in 1987 and Dark Souls came out and I was like, oh my god,
yeah, Dark Souls. is
I'm
great.
going to buy that game.
it's pretty awesome.
Speaking of Dark Souls, I should have filtered Dark Souls with light. But speaking of Dark Souls, we'll be going into our next segment where we will be talking about video games
Sure.
we are looking
And-
forward to.
None of them, because all video games are terrible.
It's true.
Yeah. Hey, remember that podcast we did where we were supposed to talk about video games in 2013 that we're looking forward to, and I never posted that?
Yes. It's almost like irony.
Yeah,
And
it
since
is.
you're leading us into this, Esson, what games are you looking forward to?
Oh no,
in
don't do this to me.
2014?
Well, I would say JoJo's Bizarre Adventure All-Star Battle, but I'm looking at the disc across the room right now, and it's right there. But
Yeah.
the first video game of 2014 I'm looking forward to is Jason Statham, Jet Li, and Bruce Willis in Metal Gear Solid 5. Not the Phantom Pain. I forgot the other one. Ground Zeroes. There you go. But
I'm in.
Huh?
I'm in this weird position. I'm sorry to cut you off, but I'm in this weird position where I love the hell out of MGS and I love 1 through 4, but I cannot get excited for 5 at all, and I don't know why.
Is it just that's gone on too long?
Kind of, and I know that it's filling in the story
Gaps.
with like it's filling in gaps with like Big Boss and stuff like that, and I'm sure it'll be a good game and everything, but it's like all the entire air surrounding it. I'm like,
It's like, because you already know how it's going to kind of end anyway.
yeah, kind of. Then again, you kind of knew that for some of the other ones as well, but it's just, well, actually, what am I saying? But
Mhm.
it's just a case of I can't manage to get excited for it because to me, I feel like the series is over, and that's just, I guess that's just a
Because
personal
the
thing.
fourth one kind of just ended everything off with like tying up all the loose ends and stuff.
in a very bad
kinda, and
way.
it's like,
Sorry,
did it though?
Someone wasn't happy with the ending.
I wasn't. I was happy with the ending. I wasn't happy with the explanations.
He wasn't happy. He wasn't happy with Johnny.
Nanomachines. Nanny machines. This is what happens when you can't talk.
Did Kojima's like friends or anything like ignore him for like a week or something, and he just put nanomachines in the script? Because I almost feel like the other production team is like, hold on, Kojima, you're putting nanomachines in that story way too much. We
Yeah.
gotta have to.
from what I heard, it wasn't even his idea. It was like one of the other developers that said that.
Well, I'm
He thought, oh, okay, let's just go along with it.
Nanomachines.
Well,
Sounds like a good idea.
well, at least they didn't go with Kojima's idea of having Snake and Otacon being publicly executed as the end game. That would have been horrible.
Yeah, that would have been dumb. But
There
well,
you
I don't
go.
know. It depends how they pull it off. But with yeah, with MGS5, it comes to the point where it's like with something like Rising, that's very clearly a spin-off and things like that. But with MGS5, Phantom Pain, and the Phantom Menace, it's like I don't know. It's just I can't get excited for it. The entire air of how they're like promoting it and things like that just feels wrong. It feels uncanny, and it's like
Is it because it's
Oh,
open
probably.
world?
but I'll probably end up playing it at some point anyway. But I'm just like I won't be happy about it until I play it. It ends up
I
being
won't be
really-
happy about it.
Well,
I'm gonna have fun. I'm gonna have fun, but I'm not gonna be happy when I have fun.
well, for me, I am excited beyond belief for Metal Gear Solid 5, and I know I shouldn't be this excited for a game because that'll just set me up for disappointment. But I never learned because the game when I saw the trailer, I just like was nostalgizing so hard because they had like what's his name, Revolver Ocelot as a stunning middle-aged man voiced by Troy Baker, and that's already amazing. And the game's going to be leading all the way up to the Outer Heaven Uprising, which makes me super excited because I kind of feel okay. For people who would not want to get Metal Gear 1 spoiled for them, I don't know who on earth exists there.
To be fair, if you play it, you don't really need to not have Metal Gear 1 spoiled because I mean,
All right, I'll just
all the
say
other
it because
games already do that.
it's really not big of a deal. Okay, so my whole idea is that the final chapter for Metal Gear Solid 5, the Phantom Pain, not Ground Zeroes, is going to be like, you know how they have the epilogue at the end of every game that has that giant like moment?
Mhm.
Yeah, I feel that the one for Metal Gear Solid 5 is that Big Boss is going to be on like the radio and he's like, "All right, we're going to be infiltrating Outer Heaven or whatever and you have this mission." And then like David Hayter comes back and he's like, "This is Solid Snake reporting out." And then like the game just ends. And then
And they're gonna make a remake of the first game.
oh my god, yes.
Then they're gonna remake all the other games, and they're gonna remake Metal Gear Solid, and they're gonna remake Metal Gear Solid 2, and it's gonna keep going forever, and it's never gonna stop. But we're gonna keep buying them.
If they make a remake of Metal Gear Solid 3, I would maybe raise an eyebrow, but I would probably buy it because
But they already did,
yeah, it's on
You already
3DS.
bought it.
and you already bought it.
Is it bad that I'm gonna say that I'm probably gonna by the end of my life own at least 3 copies of Snake Eater because I have no restraint on my life?
No, because I've done the same thing, except not with Snake Eater.
Okay, that's good. But yeah, Metal Gear Solid 5 looks to me, I'm hoping they learned their mistakes from Metal Gear Solid 4, but from the way they're advertising it, it looks like it's going to be almost like a spiritual success to Snake Eater because they said the game's going to be heavily based on environment, which makes me extremely excited, and you can also use the day and night cycle to your advantage, which makes me more excited, and I am
So
starting to love Big Boss as a character, and I think he is a very fleshed out character, and I kind of like how they made his personality follow from Snake Eater to Portable Ops and Peace Walker to a sympathetic character who's actually not too bad of a guy. So I'm looking forward to it, and I can't wait. Yeah.
Let's see. The main game that I'm looking well, other than Persona 5, which we can I guess talk about later. The other main game that I am really looking forward to in 2014 is Dark Souls 2.
Me too.
I don't.
And
I
it's
don't know
funny
anything
because-
about it.
I'm sorry. It's funny because there's been like I guess quote unquote controversy surrounding it where they're talking about putting in easy mode and things like that, and it's like I don't know. I don't necessarily think the game needs an easy mode or anything, but I think it, especially from Dark Souls, it can to be a bit more accessible, especially with stuff like the lore or learning how to actually play the game. Because while the tutorial may teach you like certain things, and the game is teaching you while you play, there are things where you're just going to get screwed over because you don't know. I don't know. You either don't know what's going on, or you're just going to have to learn the hard way. It's like I don't know. I feel like it could stand to be a bit more, not fair, but like telegraph certain things better.
I'll tell you this
I don't
right.
know.
I'll tell you this right now.
Give.
Go ahead.
You don't want it to be all trial and error, do you?
Yeah, because it's like there are certain things where I'm like, I love Dark Souls, but it's not perfect. Like the Bed of Chaos can righteously go fuck off, and I hate that thing. So basically, if Dark Souls 2 does not have a boss like the Bed of Chaos, it will be the best game ever.
I'll tell you this right now.
Um,
I'm looking
Heard it
forward.
here first.
I'm looking forward to Dark Souls 2, and I don't mind that it's getting an easy mode. I mean, sure, it kind of may not go into the spirit of the game of it being trial and error and pushing yourself further and further. But at the same time, there may be people who are like legitimately scared off of the Souls series, and they may finally be like, hey, with Dark Souls 2, I might get into the games. And with that, they may as well also be like, hey, you know, I really liked playing Dark Souls 2 on easy mode, so maybe I'm going to bump up the difficulty to kind of see how it's like with the experience, and maybe that'll make them get into the series through that. And with that, I heavily am in favor of that, because the more people who enjoy the game, the better.
Yeah, well, it's like I'm kind of weird. I'm kind of weird about it because I don't know how exactly they would do in easy mode. Because the thing is, you could make the enemies have less health and do less damage, and that's fine.
But the traps...
But a lot of things like the traps or getting ganged up on by like any more than 2 enemies and things like that. That's usually where you end up dying in Dark Souls, not because of one fight where you like messed up or something. Because in general, straightforward fights against like one enemy and things like that are not that tough if you know what you're doing and can pace yourself right.
you can also run
It's
away.
just like yep, it's just like in regards to that, I'm not sure how they would even go about doing an easy mode, and I'm not sure how I feel about it. It kind of depends how it's done because
V won't like it.
yeah, that's true. I know a lot of people don't like it, and I'm kind of about it as well. I think the game could definitely use some streamlining in like the interface and the lore and like setting things up. But it's like in general, I wouldn't necessarily want an easy mode for it that just makes like the game a cakewalk and stuff like that, because that's not the point of it, and that's not. It's like a lot of what makes it fun is doing that, or it's like trying to learn and get better at it. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Then again, you don't have to play the easy mode, so that's fine. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, same here. I think that Dark Souls 1 was a fantastic game. Demon Souls is one of my favorite games, and I have 2 friends that I played Demon Souls with, and I am currently playing Dark Souls with, and we've had a pretty wonderful time. But the one thing I'm kind of nervous about in Dark Souls 2 is that if you summon phantoms after a time, they can be disappeared, and that kind of ruin the the team playing aspect, because I enjoyed the game.
Co-op.
Yeah, I enjoyed the game as a co-op game a lot, and hopefully they know what they're doing with that, because if they screw it up, then it'll make co-oping through Dark Souls 2 not as much fun. But Dark Souls is great. Demon Souls is great. Dark Souls 2 most likely will be great, and that game's coming out at the same time Metal Gear Solid 5 is going to come out, so I'm going to have to make the decision of a lifetime. It'll be hard.
You're probably going to get MGS5. I know you.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Alright, Craig, what are you looking forward to?
Well, loads of games really, but the one I'm going to choose is Infamous Second Son.
Oh.
Coming out on the PS4.
And you have a PlayStation 4.
That means I can get the game then, can't
I want the game too,
you
but I
can
don't
get
have
the
a
game.
PS4.
Well,
You
the
can get
thing
the
is,
game anyway, but you can't play it.
That's true. Anyway, I really enjoyed the previous Infamous games. 'Cause I generally think they're some of the best games on the PlayStation 3.
Same here.
Because the story is a bit hit and miss. There are some good moments in the story, but not all the time.
Yeah.
But I think the gameplay really makes Infamous. It's just a good concept for a game, you know, going around as a superhero, blasting bad guys.
Yeah, it's really fun. And why are you looking forward to Second Son? Just more of the Infamous fun?
Well, more the same, but they're using a new character and new powers. I really want to see how they integrate that.
Yeah. I'm so happy they're not using that bad ending from Infamous 2. Like, I thought the good ending was a perfect send-off to the Cole story.
I know there were some people that were a bit disappointed that it wasn't Cole, but I think it's actually better.
Yeah, me too.
That it isn't him.
I kept saying, if they're going to make an Infamous 3, please don't put Cole in there, because I thought the ending in Infamous 2 was perfect. So, I'm really happy they're not shoehorning him in there. And the game looks really good. Like, Infamous was the first game I played on the PS3, so... And I love the series, and I consider Infamous 2 to be up there in my favorite games this gen.
Infamous 2 is a much better sequel as well.
Oh, yes.
So if they keep going the way they're going, then Infamous 3 is going to be even better.
Seems that Sony games always have where, like, the first game's really good, but then the second one just, like, blows your mind. Like, Uncharted 2. Infamous
They actually
2.
learn from their mistakes.
I know.
Yep.
Improve on them.
Like, Naughty Dog and Sucker Punch are some of the best companies that are out there right now, and Sony's really lucky to have them making games for
Especially
them.
Naughty Dog.
Oh, yes.
I think Naughty Dog is generally the best developer right now.
Yeah, I love Naughty Dog. And speaking of Naughty Dog, there are rumors that Uncharted 4 may come out in 2014 or early 2015, and
Yeah, that's what I didn't want to talk about it because I didn't know if it was coming out in 2015. But
I'll say this right now: if they make an Uncharted 4, that is exactly when I'm going to buy a PS4 because
I just hope it's not they actually try and change up a bit because the last 3 Uncharted games have been more or less the same.
yeah,
So
and
I
they're
hope they
perfect
actually
that
try
way.
something different with this one.
I just really hope that
Yep.
it has like the same fun gameplay and the same fun characters.
Oh, if it's still the same gameplay, I hope. But you know, the story from all 3 games was more or less the same, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, they've kind of got like the Indiana Jones Tomb Raider thing going on and stuff like that, and it's like, I don't know, the real big change has been like tweaks in gameplay, which have definitely gotten better through the series, and just like changing up locations. So I don't know, like
There hasn't been a drastic.
keep the same spirit, but maybe have like a completely different setting. And
I
like
wouldn't-
There hasn't been
Hmm?
a drastic change to the series.
I-
That's the problem.
the only thing that I wouldn't mind would be if they added some like more combat to it. Like Uncharted 3 introduced like the whole picking up weapons from like the table or something, but they didn't emphasize on that too much. I wouldn't mind if Uncharted 4 had like the option of picking up something and just like kind of fighting with it too, and maybe dropping it.
Like in The Last of Us.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Oh yeah,
Like that seems like something that could fit in the Uncharted story, and I just hope they don't have like
Take notes, Sony.
I just hope they don't have like a dark turn with the series or anything, because like with Uncharted, it's very well the
Yeah.
Indiana Jones series I never got
Yeah,
as
it's
video
very
games.
light-hearted.
Yeah.
Even though you kill lots of people.
It's basically a swashbuckling adventure.
I don't think they try and make the prototypical dark and gritty Uncharted game. That just wouldn't make sense.
Yeah.
I think that's why they made The Last of Us because they didn't want to do it with Uncharted. They wanted to try and do it with something new.
Yeah, even with like Nathan Drake,
Yeah, I think so.
even with like Nathan Drake and stuff, like yeah, there's a lot of heartwarming moments with like the father-son relationship between Sully and Drake, but like they never really try to do something that goes out of character, and it very well always keeps the tone of swashbuckling adventure with a lot of fun, and it ignores the fact that Drake kills thousands of people because it's an Indiana Jones like game. Death isn't really that big of an issue. So
Yeah, exactly.
I'm looking forward to Uncharted 4, and I very well think that Naughty Dog being under it eased my biggest stress and worry, because I thought that like if they were going to make an Uncharted 4, they would have given it to someone else, but seems like Naughty Dog's doing it again, and I'm happy.
Yep.
And it's Uncharted Kart Racer, and we'll all love it.
That's what it's going to be all along.
Yep.
I wouldn't mind that. I think it'd be a good game.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see what else is coming out.
Persona
I'm looking at the
5.
list right now. Persona 5, I want all over right now. Right
Watch
this
Dogs is
second.
also coming out, which is a game I want to get.
That's good, too.
Yep.
Also,
'Cause you get to mess up. You get to be a dick with a phone, basically.
with Persona 5, I kind of think that the theme might be revenge because it's red, and I'm shallow, so I'm like, red.
They don't really. They'll probably. I hear Red and the way Persona does things. I assume it would probably be more passion or something like that.
Oh yeah, or that. That was the other one I was
Mhm.
thinking, but yeah,
Yep. Like yeah, I don't
Well,
know,
it is
possibly
a-
be
it
like
is a
more
dated
bombastic and stuff like that.
there's one thing. I remember it's, me and John stayed up into the yard in the morning of the Persona stream, and like we were just like, come on, Persona 5, and they kept showing the other Persona stuff.
And they kept showing the dancing game.
I'm actually okay with the dance game because Teddy has a disco ball. Makes
It's like, I really don't care about the dancing game because it's like, hey, if you don't buy it, things like that. And if you feel like they're milking it, don't buy it and things like that. I can
They
say
are
I'm
milking
probably
it
not,
if they're making a dancing game, surely.
I like rhythm games, so
no, but
It's
you
not,
see,
it's not
the-
even
the-
called Duty Mates can't dancing game yet.
No, but,
Not
but
yet.
You see, the Persona 4 openings have
I want to
dance.
see Captain
There's
Price
more.
get down.
It's gonna be wonderful.
it's
Well, Star Wars had dancing.
Oh,
Persona
well, don't
can have
remind me of that.
I'm Han Solo. I'm Han Solo.
stop. We don't
I'm
don't talk about
I'm
that.
gonna find a video after the podcast.
Oh god. Can we make that the ending theme?
Sure. Why not?
Alrighty then. Getting down to business.
I like rhythm games, and I like Persona, and I would not mind seeing you Narukami getting down with the dance.
Yeah, I can safely say not even just because I don't have the console, but I'm probably not gonna buy that.
To be fair,
Persona 5, it's all over me. Persona Q seems like a cute little spin-off.
I'm probably
I
gonna
haven't
get
looked
it.
into that much.
because it's on 3DS, and
Yep.
I hear Etrian Odyssey is fun, so I'll
Mhm.
probably get it myself.
Oh yeah, there's some Nintendo games coming out this year as well.
Bayonetta
Nintendo.
3.
But
Nintendo makes games.
They said supposedly they're gonna announce a new Zelda game this year. So
Yeah, it was going to
But
be a
the-
Dynasty Warriors game.
no,
yeah, yeah. Haven't you heard?
no, like an
Haven't
actual,
seen the news.
like an actual Zelda game, like I mean like a main series Zelda game.
But it is an actual Zelda game. It has Link in it, and he has his sword, and his bombs,
Main
and his
series
arrows.
game. That's what I had to say.
And there are Octoroks.
I'm actually kind of looking forward to the Dynasty Warriors game because that's like a ton of fun because I like running around and
looks-
just killing everything.
It looks like a fun spin-off, and it won't be Link's crossbow training. So I mean, there you go.
I'm kind of cool with Link's crossbow training.
Oh.
Are you now?
Oh yeah,
I remember that V post where someone bought like 50 copies of it.
that was actually me.
Just to get these like codes in the packages, like Nintendo points, I think it was.
I
So it's like,
believe
I
it's-
was going to buy the same game over and over again just to get as many points as possible.
Speaking of that, how about that guy who spent thousands of dollars on Steam cards?
Oh, we're going to segue into this, are we?
Topical. Are we?
I thought we were going to have a break first.
All right.
Alright.
I
So
think we've covered 2014 games enough now.
I think so. Yeah, now we can just go into like recent news and stuff like that.
alright,
All right.
who's the news giver?
That's on you know. That's on you know where the cutting offs are going to be.
Oh, and now we will cut off.
That would have been earlier.
Oops.
That'd be like after I said okay. Keep restarting the podcast. It'll be okay. They won't know.
Shh.
Play Han Solo.
No,
Han Solo.
at least it wasn't that
Han
time
Solo.
we had Mike on our podcast and I kept having to put a beep because he kept saying no words.
no.
Oh yeah, he has no filter. I forgot about that.
Yeah. Like, okay, Mike.
Is he actually saying?
Yes, he
Over.
was. And I was like, God dang it, Mike. So I had to go and put
can't-
It's such a beep.
And then Mike was like, you will not censor me.
It's like yes, we will.
Yeah, I will.
You can't say that.
This is a podcast.
Then
But
you-
this is the internet. I can say anything.
I can say anything I want. You can't stop me.
I know. I was like, God dang it, Mike. You're making
Bioshock was a good game.
That podcast especially took me a long time because I had to keep putting beeps and cuts into it.
Oh yeah, it's a pain in the ass when you have to do that.
Yeah.
And then you miss what other people are saying if you have to keep doing that. That's fun. All right, so let me think. Which ones did we say we were gonna do?
Xbox.
Yeah,
Sega.
Yep, and then
That other one.
Oh, did
yeah,
Did you?
What about
Yep,
the PS4 porn?
I don't know what there is to say.
I'd
that.
probably just be blushing and not saying anything. So, do you want that?
I guess PS4 players just love porn.
All right, let's do it then. I'll
I don't know. I'm just like I'm not sure what there is to say about it.
just say that at the end, and then I'll be like, okay.
Save it at the end and then we just cut off.
Yep.
All
And then
right.
we play Han Solo.
Stop it. It never happened.
Han
Okay,
Solo.
what about the Steam card things? You want to talk about that?
Oh, I could
All
say.
right,
Or you
do
want
you
to?
want to start that up?
Okay.
Okay. Just like countdown or whatever, or is it just still going?
Oh, yeah, it's still going, but I'll cut it off. Three,
Oh, okay.
3, 2, 1. But jingles.
Bazooka.
Ben Zuber. I'm funny,
Okay, I'll do it again.
but
3, 2, 1. Bagel Joe.
now you see, here's the funny thing about Steam cards. You can sell them for dollars or cents.
I made $4.
pence. When I first sold all of mine, I made like 3, I think. One thing.
We're worth a
one
lot of
thing
money
I-
then.
Totally. The one thing I regret is with the most recent sale. I didn't realize there was an expiration date on some of the cards, so I would have sold them while I still had chance and things like that, because people wanted to complete the set to get the badge or whatever,
Mhm.
which is a waste of time. But hey, they'll give me money, so I was gonna do that, and then I found out they expire. So I'm like, well, there's what $1 that I don't have now.
Yeah, I made $3. And then that made
Yep.
or $4. Yeah.
But Yeah, one guy decided he wanted the badges so bad and to level up so badly, or maybe just to get people to know who he is, I don't know, that he spent, oh, let me look at the number if I can find, well, whatever, thousands of dollars on Steam cards that do nothing.
He also has a few thousand games on Steam, and he's proud of it, and he's in his 30s. Round of
Yeah,
applause.
I don't know.
I
Yeah,
don't know.
I guess,
I don't know what to say. He sure loves his Steam cards.
yep. I'm not one to pass judgment because it's other people's money, and hey, that's their business, not mine.
Ye-
But oh,
You
Well,
know,
think how many charities could have got that money.
if my kid ever spent a few $1,000s, I'd probably be steaming.
It's in his 30s.
Well, then again, you get all these things where it's like when it gets down to microtransactions and things like that, you'll get like whatever iOS game, or like there was the Final Fantasy one that came out where it was like spend real world money or pay like $2 to get
Yeah,
a
and
character.
every time you always get a news story about some kid that ends up spending so many thousands of money because there's no limit on what
Yeah,
you can do.
Yeah, exactly, because they don't know what they're doing and stuff like that, or they're just a kid and they have it hooked up to like a parent's credit card or something, and then they suddenly spend hundreds of dollars, and it's like I don't inherently mind microtransactions or things like that if it's in like a free to play game or something, or it's like, or if it's implemented well. But when you can, I don't know, it's really easy to exploit the end user with stuff like that, and the Steam cards are definitely part of that. Because it's like with Steam sales, they've always had the metagame going on with it. Where like I remember they had the one where it was like, oh, if you get 7 lumps of coal or whatever, you'll get a free game, and by get a free game, we mean Half-Life 2, which you'll already have, but whatever. But yeah, they'd have that going on and stuff like that. But now with Steam cards, it's like keep buying more games, keep getting more cards, and you can get badges that do nothing, and you can sell those to get badges that do nothing. But you care, right? Because we've now incentivized you to do this with this entire thing,
Mhm.
because you want to level up your Steam thing and be cool with all your Steam friends, even though they don't care.
See, the
So,
thing
I mean-
is, it kind of. You guys ever like read the storybooks like when you were a kid? Like, when I was younger, I used to read this storybook called like, oh god,
The Wind in the Willows.
I didn't read. Oh God.
Yeah, I always thought it was too inappropriate. Storybooks. Hello.
Where'd you go?
I don't know. This is what happens. This is what happens when we talk about books. Everyone runs away. But yeah, it's just like I'm gonna take the ball and keep rolling. It's just the thing of, and on one hand, people will probably argue that it's like, oh, but you get them from playing your games, so it incentivizes you to play games instead of just buying them and letting them sit and rot in your inventory. But it's like, it's a useless digital thing that you don't need, that doesn't add anything to the game and things like that. And yes, I can sell them and get $3 and buy like one cheap game that's on sale on like a flash sale or something. But in general, I don't think this is a good thing.
yeah.
Because it's so easy to just exploit the end user with it, and I'm just like, I mean, I know people aren't complaining about it, and I know people will buy them, and I do sell them and things like that, because I mean, it's like, what else are you supposed to do with it? But then it just feeds into it, and there you go. It's the same thing where it's like, I know everyone complains about Origin and stuff like that, but it's like, stuff like this is part of the reason why I think Origin is a good thing, because we need some competition going on, which is like, I don't know. We don't want to let just Steam or just Valve run everything, because while Steam is a great service and things like that and makes people actually, it's like, it's DRM that actually works and people like it and they've got sales and it's fucking rad. It's just like, I don't know, it's not perfect and we need some competition going on with it, or otherwise they'll just keep doing stuff like this and nickel and diming everyone.
But what I was gonna
And people, they're getting ripped off.
But what I was gonna say earlier was that when you kind of look at it, I remember like a lot of storybooks I used to read when they were like, hey, there's this thing that someone obsesses over, and they keep buying and buying and buying. Eventually, you're gonna be like surrounded with all that crap, and just be like, why did I do this again? Was this a fad, or was this whatever? And I guess people are regardlessly going to be stupid and waste their money on crap they don't need. So you can't really blame Steam, but I probably would not be comfortable if they had a system where you can do this, because
Are you saying it's like that episode of South Park with the Walmart episode?
I don't know how someone works, I don't know.
There's just a mirror at the back saying, "Look, you're the evil." Then they break
Yep.
the mirror.
it's just
It's oddly accurate.
it's just people just need to have self-control, but I really don't think that's the thing. Those cards really should be a thing on Steam because I don't know. I don't want it to be the
Like,
catalyst of the lack of self-control, I guess.
Yeah, that's the big thing, because where I'm like, I feel like people should have self-control and stuff like that, but hey, by us selling them, we're feeding into it as well, so, I mean...
Yeah.
They got us. They even got us.
Yeah.
It's just like, I guess the way to do is like, I'm not gonna support this or whatever, just leave them, but you don't want to do that because you want to get the money from it, but by selling them, other people are buying them, and it's like, they keep giving more reasons to buy and sell them, and it's like, from your perspective, it's like, why not sell them or why not buy them? So it's just like, yeah, it's like this big mismatched thing, but that doesn't mean it's okay to spend $3,000 on them.
Yeah, but people are going to do it, and that's a sad story.
Yeah,
Few
and
thousand
business
dollars.
students of business students of the future will learn from this and continue doing it forever.
It's kind of like those, hey, buy lottery tickets, you'll eventually win. Oh, I just spent a few $100s on lottery tickets that got me nowhere.
You're lucky to even pay back the price of the lottery ticket. The most I've ever won from one is like $5.
I never even bought lottery tickets.
Well done.
Let's see. Other video game news that has been going on. Apparently, Sega has been looking into doing free-to-play games.
Oh, boy.
Or adopting that sort of free-to-play model. And I'm trying to find the thing so I can find the exact details. But that is how life works sometimes.
You know, as long as they don't abuse it, I'm not really that bothered. Because
Yeah,
they are good free-to-play games.
Yeah, it's like with free-to-play games, it's always a thing where it's the business model and you have to use it right. Because it's a case of, okay, throwing microtransactions and free-to-play stuff into a game that's already $60, that is ripping people off. But if the game is free on its own, then it's like about leveraging your time versus how much you spend and things like that. And it's like, I don't know, there's more communication between the developers and the person who's playing it or buying it and things like that. I feel like stuff like, I know a lot of the more recent MOBAs do a pretty good job of handling it. Well, I don't want to say that. That's neither here nor there. It's just like you with free-to-play games, you have to be able to balance everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, if they can manage to pull that off and be successful with it, that's good. If they're charging money and then making you do free-to-play stuff,
I don't
on top
think
of that,
I'm
that's
not sure if
bullshit.
they're charging money to begin with.
I don't think they are. Hold on, let me find the article. Yeah, it's free-to-play.
See, that's the main point that we're trying to get across.
Yeah.
Yep.
Microtransactions are okay if it's in a free game. That's basically the gist of it.
Yep.
Alright, do we have another story besides Gabe Newell's bizarre sales?
What'd you say?
Do we have any other stories?
Let us see. I think we had one more.
Alright.
Because
Got it
we are
open
the best.
Yes, about the Xbox One.
Yay!
Oh, yes. Yay.
Do you want to know the details of it?
I would like to know the details of it. Tell me
Basically,
more.
in an interview with one of the guys at Microsoft, he basically said one of the ideas for the Xbox that they were testing was to not have it have a disk drive. It was going to be like all downloadable. And then when people found out that that was one of the ideas, people sort of thinking, wait a minute, we would have never have bought a system that you can't put discs in.
See,
Yep.
back in the, in our current society, I think a lot of companies forget the fact that a lot of people don't have nice internet.
So, the thing is, we're just not ready.
Yeah, it's just not a universal thing. Like, I actually looked up statistics, and it's absolutely crazy. Did you know that over 60% of the United States still uses dial-up?
Well then.
Yeah.
Six-
Oh my.
And if we're going by world statistics, that's probably going to
Even
be...
worse.
Yeah. So, I don't think we're ready for that yet, because if you do that, you're basically stabbing a giant market in half. Yeah.
Then again, the Xbone was attempting to do that anyway. My guess is the reason they were going for download only is because then, hey, we don't have to worry about banning used games, like locking
Yeah,
out
but-
used games. They're
but-
always online because now that's just part of it.
And they don't have to deal with the retailers who are going to take a cut of their profits anyway.
Oh no, they had
Yeah,
that used
exactly.
game saying it was just a piece of crap model.
Thing is, do you guys watch Jim Sterling?
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I remember he was talking.
Because he talked
Okay.
about how there's like a tug of war going on between the retailers and the console manufacturers, because the console manufacturers need retailers to sell the console, but they don't want the retailers because they take profit from their games.
But at the same time, they don't know how to manage digital distribution and things like that, so they end up losing money on that front because they don't know what they're doing and they're stuck in their old days.
It's like they don't want retailers, but they need them at the same time. It's sort of weird.
Yeah, it's really funny because they'll be like, we hate used games, but by the way, pre-order Mass Effect 3 right now to get
Yeah,
half the
exactly.
content.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, there you go.
Going back to an earlier thing. Okay, my statistics are stupid. I apologize. 60% of the world still uses dial-up. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I thought that was a
Alright,
bit.
thanks for checking that, because I'm like, that sounds off.
Okay, 3% of American adults still rely on the good old AOL. There you go.
AOL.
Yeah.
They're still going.
Yeah, they are.
That exists.
Go on AOL. It's still a site.
Remember when you would go into Walmart or whatever, and they'd have the AOL trial discs? Or
I have,
whatever,
like,
by the register.
What are you talking? Discs? I have flash, dude.
Discs. Give it the time.
Up until eighth
Back in
grade, I didn't have a new computer, and I had my dad's college computer from the 90s, and it didn't
Oh my.
the disk drive didn't work, so I had to use the floppy drive. So like when I would go into school, I'd be like, do these computers have a floppy drive? And everyone would give me a weird look. I'm like, it's not my fault.
I remember when I was like, I was probably like 10 or 11 years old. That's when I finally realized that graphics cards are a thing. Because my parents let me buy Halo for the PC because I didn't have an Xbox or whatever, and I really liked it at the time, and I still do. It's a fun game, but whatever. So I had to upgrade and buy a new graphics card for the computer so it would
Do you
run.
remember what it was?
Hmm?
The graphics
Oh
card.
no, I don't even want to think about that because I'm just like, how crazy.
It must have been
outdated
some really top kit.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I think we got it in like 2004 or something.
Should have
yeah.
told. Should
Actually,
have told.
I'm probably messing this up so much with like my age and everything. I'm like, oh yeah, I was 11 in 2004. Wait, what? No, shit. Wait, yes, no, wait.
You should tell Devin when he was in his new computer to use whatever you used.
Also not use disk
Yeah,
drive.
When you want to play Halo, you're gonna have to use this.
Here, this is state of the art. I bought this back in 2000 whatever.
Don't forget, you're gonna need a floppy drive to install all your games.
Actually, well, joking aside about this stuff, like, there's one thing that I kind of feel like in this age of technology where we're progressing rather quickly, and a lot of things are getting introduced. I don't mean to be like an old man. I may be getting my old man nest right now, but as a child who grew up in the 90s, we all grew up in the 90s, so we can all kind of relate to this. The jump in,
90s kids
I half grew up in the 90s, not really. I'm more a noughties kid.
but like, but the way we grew up though was that like the technology suddenly changed. Like there was a technological boom. Like the internet got introduced.
The information age.
Yeah, the internet got introduced to the public. Like a lot of things just got introduced all of a sudden, and
Yeah, and it's going like really fast. Things are getting more advanced. We have smartphones now, and now smartphones are getting more and more
I
like,
don't-
prominent, and everyone has one.
I don't mean to quote Ray Bradbury, but I am. By Ray Bradbury, he was an author in the 50s, and who wrote books in the 50s, and like one of the things he said was that people should often remember that they should enjoy the technology, not let the technology override them. And I kind of feel nervous, like with like the sudden technological boom, that we're so willing to go to the next generation so quickly. And I sort of feel that maybe we should like ease down, maybe still continue using our disk drives, maybe not go to like super machines for like our gaming consoles. It's like, truth to
We
be,
saw the reaction when Xbox tried to
yeah.
go with downloadable only. People weren't ready for it, and they made it clear.
Honestly,
Yep.
I kind of feel that we should maybe chill out with like the sudden like progression of like gaming systems and stuff. Like maybe just enjoy the games, I guess, and not worry so much about like what it can do.
Well, on top of that, you get things where it's like with the more advanced consoles and the higher technology and everything, games themselves are getting more and more expensive to make because all these crazy graphics.
Oh,
engines.
don't get me started on development costs.
Yeah, I remember when what was it? It was Square Enix with Tomb Raider and Capcom with Resident Evil 6 or whatever, where they sold millions of copies, but were still considered commercial failures. And it's like, well then.
Capcom literally has a few
and,
million.
and then you get developers saying things like, "We're not going to make a sequel to this game because we didn't make any money on it." It's because you spent too much money making it. That's the problem.
Honestly,
It's
like-
not our
Yep.
fault.
Hey guys, we're gonna take Dead Space. We're gonna change everything that you liked about it and make it what you don't like about it, and say if it doesn't sell 5 million copies, we're not gonna make it anymore. Okay.
The thing about like with the Capcom stuff is that Capcom only has a few $1 million left in their bank, and that's because they're spending so much money on their crap. It's just, like it kind of makes you want to like be more into the indie scene because it almost feels like a callback to the older times when games weren't so freaking expensive to make. And when it's so expensive, you may also have the question of should I make this original piece and almost have a failure and maybe get run out of the business because it costs too much. Or
You can take more risks when you're not spending as much
yeah,
money.
or should I make an
Yeah,
indie game where
exactly.
I can kind of afford to make my own decisions without being afraid that I'm going to be run out the next day? Well, in a different way at least.
Yeah, exactly. Like I don't know, if a game knows its audience and things like that, you can play to that audience and things like that and have it be much more focused instead of trying to shoot for everybody and spending all this money and hoping to make millions and millions of sales on it. So, I mean, there you go.
But
It's like,
Video
it's like games like Mario or Zelda might not even existed if they were made in today, not 50 years ago, 30 years ago, whatever.
yeah, and I think that's one thing.
Yes, seriously.
And I think that's one thing I do love about Nintendo, where I think like it was Reggie or someone who said that, where no, it was Iwata. Basically, they asked him about like the whole HD age or whatever, and if they're like in a rush to maybe like make the new technological thing, and Iwata simply said, "We're not here to try to make the most technologically impressive games. We're just here to make fun games." And I'm like, amen to that.
Yeah, it's just like it's like more so than other creative mediums and things like that. Games have been very reliant on this technology because the technology is what plays them. It's what you need and things like that.
To be fair, movies have been like that as well for some time.
That's true. It's like since like the advent of CGI. Well, not since the advent of CGI, but it's like you get it kind of more so in games because it's like the field is constantly changing. You can see like even just like game size teams and budgets and everything have drastically changed in just a span of like 20 years.
Yeah.
It's like ridiculous.
Gaming always changes.
And the
That's
crazy
like it never stays the same.
And the crazy thing is, like, one of the most like highly money-intensive game development games. That sounds really dumb. Is Call of Duty, and I think Call of Duty Ghosts like still uses like the Modern Warfare engine, or at least like a earlier engine, which is absolutely crazy.
I don't.
And they just
I don't want to jump on their asses or whatever. But I would believe it if they completely reused and copy pasted assets from other games.
they do. They totally do.
They do.
Like the
Yep,
games.
There you go.
Like the games, they don't know how to. One of the issues they have is that they don't really know how to condense their games. But like, if you look at like the sprites and stuff, like look up close, it looks pretty not amazing. It looks the same. It looks the same as Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. It looks the same as
See,
Black
they got
Ops.
lucky, made one good game, and then they've just been making the same game over and over
I mean,
again.
don't get me wrong. I love
Basically.
Modern Warfare and I like Black Ops a lot, but it's just too long, and it kind of proves that like, why would they want to stop making the Call of Duty games? They're making a lot of money, so why not make a crap ton of money until it stops selling, and then go and milk another series?
That's what Activision does. That's how they
And-
murdered the Tony Hawk franchise.
And I kind of
That's why they're making Destiny.
And I kind of respect a lot of
Yeah.
companies like Bungie and stuff where they're like, we're making our games and stuff, and yes, Halo was amazing and all, but we're done with Halo. Microsoft, you can take it and do whatever you want with it. We're gonna go do our own thing, and I kind of respect that because you don't see it as much anymore in a lot of games, in terms of like the major AAA, whatever you want to call it, Rockstar game, amazing.
Yeah, well, the
Market.
problem with that is a lot of it is fronted by publishers and things like that have control over the studios and things like that. Say, hey, you need us, you want to make a game and things like that, or have your game get out there, so do exactly what we say so we can make
Well,
money.
there's going to be self-publishing on the Xbox and PlayStation, so
Yeah.
that might be a option for them.
And the biggest
Yep.
and one of the bigger issues is the fact that a lot of companies kind of have a giant iron grip on like the market. Like with like with like the shooter stuff. Like, yeah, Battlefield is trying to get the market back, but Call of Duty for the most part has a giant iron fist inside of the market.
I think it's lost a bit of the market since Ghost.
Yeah, because the game
Yeah.
I've heard wasn't that great, but there was also
With the Battlefield thing though, it's a case of while Battlefield is a much different game than Call of Duty. There's this weird
It has the
business
same
thing they
crowd.
like to try. Yeah, exactly. They do this weird business thing where it's like, we're going to try and get Call of Duty's audience or Gears of War's audience, and it's like, well, people who wanted to play Call of Duty or Gears have already bought Call of Duty or Gears. They don't care about your game.
yeah, and there's also the fact that like there's also like Square Enix and other companies where they're like, we make money, so we don't really need to care because our RPGs are kind of like the ones everyone buys, even though like Atlas and Namco are starting to catch up with them. But it kind of sucks because like back in the 90s and stuff, like there was all those rivalries and stuff that actually kind of helped fuel to make better games. Like there was the whole Square going up against Enix, and
competition makes everything better.
yeah, and they really had to step up their game to make sure they had the best games on the Super Nintendo market. And then once Square and Enix merged into Square Enix, they kind of just eased off a bit. They're like, yeah, we don't really care because we were going to make money.
Hey, guys.
It's like during
Hey guys,
the console wars when Nintendo had such dominance and kind of let it slip when the PlayStation came out because they weren't really trying.
Yeah, and they also
Yeah,
did.
exactly. They tried doing the same thing and it didn't work, and the PlayStation like completely revitalized stuff.
And then when
So-
PlayStation got a bit cocky and thought it didn't need to do much either, and then Nintendo Wii happened.
There was a
Yep.
whole thing with Nintendo like back in the 90s where they were like, we really don't need to care about this, so we're going to be a jerk to the developers and force them to use cartridges. And then the PlayStation came out, and then the developers were like, okay, we'll just take Final Fantasy, Metal Gear Solid, and whatever we were developing for Nintendo consoles, and we're just going to take it to the PlayStation. And
Yep.
Nintendo's
and then when
cockiness.
Nintendo finally,
Huh?
Then when Nintendo finally did switch to discs and things like that, though, it was like Nintendo only discs that only work on their specific consoles and things like that.
Yeah, and they
So
still suffered. Like,
the more things change, the more they stay the same.
Yeah.
That's the problem with the Sega Dreamcast, wasn't it? Because they use special discs as well.
No, with the Sega Dreamcast, that thing I remember hearing you could like pirate like crazy for it.
Could you?
yeah,
Yeah, it was like anyone who had a CD burner could just like oh no, it wasn't the Dex, it was something else. But anyone who had a CD burner for it could easily like get the data for the disc and just like make all these pirate
That was-
copies of it.
there was two reasons why the Dreamcast failed. The first one was that the PlayStation 2 came out with a DVD drive, and the Dreamcast didn't. And the second biggest reason was because of the pirated games. Like, since you can burn the games so easily on the Dreamcast, like it's the easiest console to pirate on.
Yep,
Sega
and
lost
it
a
was
lot of
case
sales.
like, and it was a case of because it wasn't on the internet and stuff like that, you couldn't get caught.
Yeah, and
It's like back in the day when when someone would make like a tape of an album and stuff like that. There's no way to trace that or knock it down or anything, you know.
did you ever
I
hear?
mean, you could do that. Could you do that on the PlayStation as well? But you have to have like a modded PlayStation to do that.
But have you ever heard of
I think so. I don't remember.
Craig? Have you ever heard of Bleem?
Oh yeah, the emulator
Yeah,
thing. is
that was a huge
Dreamcast.
thing because it was so easy to do. So they were like, "Hey, we're just gonna make money out of pirating." Yeah,
They didn't get caught, did they?
no. They
There
So
didn't.
you
there you
go.
go.
So you do video games.
Wasn't that they put like PlayStation games on the Dreamcast as well?
Yeah, the Bleemcast had like Metal Gear Solid and stuff on the Dreamcast. Kind of funny.
Oh, good. That's beautiful.
Yeah, I'm gonna play Metal Gear on the Dreamcast. That's a good place to end.
Yeah. So,
Yep.
are we done?
I think we're good.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us on this first episode of Taponcast. We will be doing
I'm
future.
sure-
Huh?
It'll surely get better as we go on.
Yeah, this is our first go, and surely we will be having a lot of improvements. But we're going to try to have
Maybe
me, Lamar, and Craig with a guest.
And we won't lose the files this time.
Yeah, we won't lose the files, and we'll make sure not to let Clumsy hold the files. Haha. We love you, Clumsy.
Because he's clumsy.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm Lamar the Frog.
I'm Craigie Boy.
And I'm Daily Esson.
Daily F.
And this is Taponecast. Good night, everybody.
Goodbye. It's
Bye.
afternoon for me. Bye.